Welcome to Sunday Morning Conversations. I wish we had a connection so people can call in and ask questions. But we have the old gang here that love to come, and they're getting so good, they're frightening everybody away. There's something about being good that scares bad people. And this country is made up of mostly not bad people, but broken people, broken good people that you used to be. See, not that you're perfect, I wish you were. Well, we really have to define what perfect is. It is a becoming process. So don't worry if you die imperfect, because what perfect is each moment. So you have a long way to go, but as long as you do the right thing for the right reason in the right moment, then you have fulfilled perfection for that moment. And into the next moment where you do not do the right thing, knowing that you should, and you give into it, you're a dead person and may not come back. This is a journey and you've got to stay on it. Every situation requires perfection. Now, you've got some stupid people out there listening to me right now. Not here, you're all smart. Let's see, but you've got some really, really stupefied people. I have a little problem with my voice, so you'll have to excuse that. I got lots of earwax stuck in my ear from putting earphones on. So sometimes I hear myself, I'm not sure if I'm listening to me. I hope I sound all right to you, do I? Because I can't tell. You do. All right. So let me be quite clear that become perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. It's a becoming property. I don't know what the word becoming is in the dictionary, whether it's a verb, an adjective, an adverb, all the other stuff that kids understand without having to go to school, but they don't have to give names to it. It just sounds right, So, but the point is, I don't know why it's so difficult to bring a person in, see. And I would suspect that you are not glowing as you should. See, what I'm saying is, now look at me. I'm a little imp, aren't I?
A wimp?
No, not a wimp. An imp, meaning, you know what an imp is, impish, playful, fun-loving. You're not the kind of fun-loving of drugs and stuff like that, but just fun-loving, making rude jokes once in a while. Don't put it past me. I was about to tell you one just now. But wisdom held me back. They're going to judge me for anything. See? So, I don't know where to start my talk here. But
say something?
Yes, I know. I was going to say something, so shut up. No, go ahead. Go ahead and talk to me.
I learned something this week.
What?
The difference between a little sin and a big sin.
Oh.
And yes, there is no difference.
There is no difference,
sin.
no.
No. It doesn't matter if I steal a promotional ashtray that was given to you and you have no interest in, or if I come to your house and And empty your safe and take your furniture and whatever. It's the
No
same sin.
difference.
It's the same sin if I sleep with your wife or if I think of sleeping
Oh,
with your
dear.
wife and spending.
Did you hear
the
that? You won't get much sleep, I tell you. You get tormented.
But I see what you say when you you say we must become perfect as we must give up the anger. I believe now I see that you can't get into heaven if you're angry. You can't get into heaven if you resent somebody, hate somebody.
May I sort of just chat with you a little bit? And respond to some things you said. You never want to think of going to heaven. You never want to do it so you can go there. You really put that out of your mind. You have to do it because it's right. And
What about going to hell?
I don't care about going to hell. See, because you don't have to worry about either one of those. And you don't want to do it the right thing because you don't want to go to hell. So that's a wrong approach. I've always said, and I haven't been asked about this often, but I do not concern myself whether it's heaven or hell. The right thing is the right thing. And I'm given the knowledge of the intuitive knowledge of what is right, where the average person hasn't got the foggiest idea. See? And having done that, as a matter of fact, I can do it in my sleep. If I may excuse the analogy, I don't know I'm doing the right thing. I'm not fully conscious that I'm doing the right thing. It's so, well, the word unconscious is not right, but I have to use it. So I'm so unconscious of it, I don't know I'm doing it. I'm not aware I'm kind, if I am. See? But I would know if I was unkind in my state. See, I know I'd miss it. And it was that piece of glass I walked by. Remember that story of my glass? The piece of glass I walked by, and something pulled me back. And then years later, it would say to you, see, if you'd passed that glass in the street, you would have passed every little thing that makes up big things. It's the little things that confound the mighty. God is not mocked. That's the scripture, as much as I can remember it. God is not mocked. It's the little things that confound the mighty. So I think I actually got that from The War of the Worlds. You ever see The War of the Worlds, the older version? Really, really good. At the end of the scene, this strange spacecraft with this powerful beams that smash up everything and no one can beat it. But somehow, little germs got them and they all died and all the spacecraft crashed. And then at the end, the door opens and a sort of like a lizard-like hand comes out dead. Just all you see. And then it's at the end of the film, as that's happening, he says, God says, be not mocked. It's the little things that confound the mighty. In this case, it was germs. They couldn't fight them, but the germs did it. See? I don't know, I really remember stuff like that. It makes a point. Yes?
What is that word? Mocked?
Mocked.
Like to make fun of?
No, mocked means making fun of you.
Oh, okay, that's what I
See,
thought.
making fun of you in a degrading sort of way. So you don't mock. Yeah. It's my English, I'm afraid.
No, my hearing.
Oh, I see, okay. Thank God. Yes,
Oh, I was just handing the mic back.
all right. So we've had a nice start. I really had forgotten where I was going to start with you.
Talk about praying together. Is it important to pray together?
No, I think that's a bad thing.
Then talk about that.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. It's a good point. Don't play together. Go into the closet
Wait a
by
minute,
yourself.
wait a minute. You said play. No, that's another story.
What did he say?
Pray.
Pray. You said play.
Oh, you said pray together.
Yeah.
No, you don't pray together. That's something you don't do. Praying is going to your closet by yourself, so to speak. You don't have to go to the bathroom, but anyway, you can do it sitting down if you want to. It won't make any difference. It doesn't matter where you are. You can do it sitting on the toilet. He doesn't care.
He made both ends.
We have to have a little levity here. We can't be all that serious. I have a sense of humor. Is what you get. But the point is, I just don't want to be just like your ordinary preacher. It's boring as hell. I don't want to be an entertainer, but I've got to show a happy side of me. Yes, please.
If you go to a Bible class and they pray before the Bible class starts.
It's awful.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's a private thing. You don't pray together. I don't know if there's a circumstance, maybe at a funeral. I don't know about that. I wouldn't make a judgment on that. But I know what the Bible says. And it is dead on. It's a private thing between you and your Jesus. Is that not so? A collection doesn't mean any good. Each one can do on his own. He doesn't have to be led. Let us pray. And then instead of letting you pray, he prays for you. And he makes a lot of nonsense. So you need to say, well, what is prayer? Goodwill to men. That's prayer. That is prayer conceived and practiced. Yes, sir.
I agree with you, but if you talk to a lot of Christians,
Oh, you don't talk to a lot of Christians. To hell with them.
if you talk to them,
They all don't know what they're talking
Yeah, I know-
about. They're
I know,
all
but
just
I'm-
robots.
I just want to make the point, and then you can respond to it. In the book of Acts, I believe it was Peter was in jail, and then it says that the church, the early church, all the church got together and it prayed for
And did
him.
it do,
and then
did it do him any good? He got his head
What?
cut off anyway.
No,
Oh,
No, I'm-
he was crucified anyway.
well, I know, but
It didn't
then-
help. It didn't
well,
help.
no, an angel came to the prison and
Yeah, that's right. The angel did it.
right. But I'm just saying it. It says in
I know.
and they use that to justify.
I know, but
public
they
prayer.
didn't know any better.
Okay, well, I
The
just thought I'd bring it up.
The Jewish people were neophytes. It was just beginning. It's all written in your scripture.
So since we're on prayer, let me
Yes.
ask a couple questions.
Oh, hi, Alan. How you doing?
David, I'll be David today.
I got so many kids. They have to wear cards on there. Even my
35 kids. He doesn't tell you about the other 30.
I'm going to go out and surround them.
So
I swore all my enemies would be surrounded by my family.
let's talk about, you see people in the restaurant, which I think is very sweet, bowing their heads and saying a little silent prayer before they eat.
I think it's very sweet.
There you go. I'm just
I
curious. So
understand.
since I'm
But
on this,
that's a person doing it quietly.
right.
Bowing.
What about when you see the people that are holding all around the table holding hands,
But
saying
I don't
prayer?
like to pray in front of people.
Seance?
It's a private thing. You go into your closet, shut the door. That's what it says.
Well, what if you don't shut the door? Is something happened?
Well, maybe you may be in the toilet. There's a difference.
Well, what happens if
Then
there's
you need to
noises
shut
that shouldn't be happening? No, all right. The question I have is husband and wife prayer. Aren't you one?
No,
Nope.
no.
So it doesn't, you don't think that,
Each one of you has a relationship with God, and not one is dependent on the other.
Oh,
My
here
wife
comes-
can have
there it is.
all kinds of things, and I not. Or I can have all kinds of problems. I need to deal with it myself. And if I can point out what the problem is, why she doesn't get better, or she can actually see what I can't see myself, that's not prayer, that's doing a good deed. I'm not praying for you when I criticize you. Did you ever see the movie Mandela? I recommend it. It's a must-see movie. And assumably, the actor, whose name I forget, was a Zulu. He wasn't a Bantu. He was 6 foot something. And Bantus, I've been in Africa, I've been in South Africa, are small guys. And the Zulu people are tall, masculine, all conservative. It's all conservative. So you go to Zululand, you just find men, okay? So he had physical strength and intuitive strength. And it showed all the way through, and I'm sure it's correct, because he was angry at the British, who were really wicked. 'Cause I was there. I was there in 1948 or 49, and I saw what was coming. I can just remember that they had no rights whatsoever. No chance of climbing the vine of freedom. And they were very cruel, and they machine gunned a lot of people for wanting freedom. Not that they knew what freedom was, because after Mandela died, all hell breaks loose. Now, South Africa and the beautiful city called Johannesburg, which is magnificent, is the murder capital of the world. So while you had a man like that, and what he said in the end of when he took the presidency of South Africa, which he was well deserved, he said, I'm going to tell you, if you're going to listen to me, if you want me to be your president, words to that effect, I'm going to tell you when you're wrong. That was it. And you see in the movie how people recognize the importance of that. America isn't like that. They love their wrong. They didn't have enough money to get drugs and alcohol. They didn't have enough money. They're just angry. Besides, nobody's born angry. So I can just jump from one thing to another right there. No human being is born angry. You can be born in your mother's womb with anxiety. You can actually feel the anger of your mother towards your father and be born angry in that sense. It's rare. It does happen. Generally speaking, we're born with no anger. But the world around us is angry. The world around us is full of sin, all covered up in sweetness and light. So, in other words, codependency. Codependency can be a completely different thing, look different in a politician with respect to those who are beaten down politically. Who was it said that politics is another form of warfare? It is, because you see every 30, 40, 50 years, there's another war. See, so what you get when you come into the world is the anger of your parent. And the anger of your parent in a small situations, a personal situation, is love, hate, hate, love. And the person who does the loving is the slave of the person who's loved. And the love is born out of hate, and hate creates guilt before the bully, before the one that has anger. You may not, so you've got to be very careful when you get married to know a person 3 or 4 years and have no intimacy with them whatsoever up to that time. That would be correct. And then you may have a journey to finish because that person can play a role and still you may not see it. They may just look like they love you and take care of you and play all the parts that are good, making sure you have dinner when you come in. But as soon as they have you, as soon as you become bonded, that's when the meanness appears. When the love turns into a slave, because now you're married and now you are subject, and the ego doesn't like to be subject to anything. It wants to be everything be subject to it, and it does not know this. And therefore, since you don't get back what you expect, like thieves and robbers, Jesus gives a very good example. He says, what profit you that you love those who love them? See, what profit is there in that? Thieves and robbers love thieves and robbers. So what do thieves and robbers do? They support each other. See? Or it becomes, so now you have a love-hate relationship. The person that looks like love does not get as much as they want, as much love as they expect, and get angry. And when they get angry, they lose something of themselves, so they even need more from that person, which they don't get. See? Because after a while, they may get what they want, person loving back. But the person loving back is codependent on the person who is being loving. So it does for a while seem like loving and being loved, like the gangs, see? But one of them is becoming a slave to the other. And it could be either one. The woman could be the slaver, or the man can be the slaver. And one can get angry and angry and angrier, but guiltier and guiltier and guiltier for the secret anger, because they cannot express it for the fear of not being loved. See? So they keep it to themselves and keep it to themselves until they break down.
Yeah, isn't that most relationships?
Oh, it's every relationship. There isn't a marriage that isn't that way, except very, very rare. But the thing is, if there's only 10,000 people in America or 1 million people in America like that, you still lose your country. See? And then they become persecuted by those who are really crazy. They're hating each other, they start to love, they have a love-hate relationship. It goes backwards and forwards. 1 minute, one is king, and the next minute is a pauper, a slave. And each one, every time you get beaten back and not get your love, you hate. And then after a while, you resort to hating, more hating, so the person will give in to you whether they like it or not. Because anger always leads to guilt. If there's any decency in that person, he knows that hate is wrong, but he tries to make it right.
Yeah,
He's lost the whole concept of what right and wrong is.
I can see that without even being married.
You know how I've talked about, you're lucky you're not married, don't you? I'd roll you over. If I was the woman, you'd be dead in 6 months.
Well, yeah, I see that's what happened to my dad.
You married?
No, I'm not married.
Well,
But
thank
I
God.
see that what happened to my dad. He was weak. And-
Yeah, you don't want to be married because you saw what happened to your dad?
Right.
Yeah. That doesn't mean say it's going to happen to you. You need to get
Well,
out of
I
that.
know you have to.
I think you need to get married to get some practice.
Rent a wife.
So I'll give you an example. I've been married 30 years, almost 30 years in August, next August.
Well, you had me.
Oh, no, stop it.
Yeah.
You don't know what I'm going to say. I was going to blame you, actually. He's trying to go ahead of me.
You wait till I get you outside later.
And no matter how nice a person you marry, and I married a very nice person.
Yeah.
All these things exist.
She's a bit shrewd sometimes. I get it.
She's what?
She's a little bit shrewd.
Shrewd.
Yeah, you know, she's got a will.
Everybody does.
Yeah,
Point is that no matter what, no matter how nice,
that will has to be broken by a person who has the will of the Creator. The will of the Creator is in the man. It should be in the man first. And the women should appreciate it. Because the appreciation would
is the
mean
key.
that Eve, every woman has an Eve. And if you look at history, for the most part, men are drawn to the woman, just like Adam gave into Eve, and then blamed her for his weakness. And the excuse, when God came, and according to the book, it's very clever, it's brilliant. So God approaches Adam in his mind. He doesn't sit in front of him. You can't see him. You can't see God in the face. You'd burn up. He speaks to you intuitively, especially men. Especially men who give in to the woman, who couldn't help but give in to the whatever the will of the wisp was, darkness. It is the will of the wisp, and God, on the right-hand side of man, is also, you can't see him altogether because you'd burn up, but he gives you intuition. He gives you instructions. You see, I have an iPhone. You can follow me. Whoever it is knows where I am right away. They can follow me to the end of the earth, and I can't get away. And it can talk to me. Or you can pick up the phone and talk to me. They can pick up the phone on their end and speak to me anywhere I want. I got you. I know where you are. If human beings can do that, why can't God? He made it possible for us to do it too. But in a pretty dangerous way. It could be very helpful, but we could turn every helpful thing into a bad thing, can't we? So,
you were making a point.
what was that making a point?
The point was that Eve tempted Adam. Adam made an excuse.
And so Adam gave the excuse and blamed the woman. But the woman could not help to be what she was without a man saying, put that fruit down. God hath said. So what happened is, he blames the woman, and when the man appears, when God appears and says, have you done this thing? And then you think to yourself, how does God not know? It doesn't know he does this thing. He knew it ahead of it. He knows ahead of things. He knows, and he makes the first two people, it's going to be that way. The man is not strong enough because he's just born. He's just been created. And the woman has came out of the man. There's an order. There's a divine order.
And life is the becoming, isn't it?
Huh?
Life is the becoming. Because he was just born, he didn't know better. And as
He
you
didn't know
live
any
your
better.
life, you are becoming.
But the dark side knew better. According to scriptures, which I never did believe, there's a war in heaven and they fell to earth. So you have good angels and bad ones, good spirits and bad spirits. We are dealing, now we're coming to some very serious stuff. We're dealing with invisible powers. We are dealing with invisible powers. If you're a little boy and you see money on the dad's night table, something will say to the boy, you can buy that.
He's telling my story,
Yeah,
damn
it's
it.
the nicest stuff. Yeah, I had to
Not right.
punish him for that, didn't I, Alan?
I was only 10, I swear to God.
He stole a little tiny thing. You see? I had to ground him for a couple of months. He remembers it.
He's
It's
still me
important.
$2.
I know.
I took a 10 and left $2. And he knew the difference. Never got me $2.
But it grew into thousands. What are you talking about? Just kidding. So, if he had made Adam and Eve's over and over again, it would never, ever, ever worked out. So, he needed Adam is going to be forgiven in the end. because he couldn't help it. But the point is, he did help. At that time, he was guilty and he suffered from it. And you read the story of Lost Books of the Bible. Lost Books of the Bible, I used to keep it. Get a copy of that. It's the most beautiful rendition, beautifully written, very understandable, absolutely wonderful. Just get the, what did I say, Lost Books of the Bible. That's it.
Yeah.
And don't forget it, because it has a lot of lost writings.
Can I add something to what you were saying
Yeah.
there? You said that Adam, even though he was born a man, right? Because God
Yeah.
created him that
Yeah.
day. Okay, and then so he was never a baby; he was born a man.
Yeah.
Right.
With a responsibility.
Okay. We are born children and have to grow up through all of the life's ebb and flow of parents and anger and hate and resentment and judgment and the trials and tribulations of life. And then we become men and women. And along that path, we are becoming, it says to become perfect. But you really need that road of life
That's
to give
correct.
you the example or the opportunities to fail this time, become perfect the next
No,
time.
actually-
Or fail and have to do it again over and over again till you become perfect and overcome that particular trial. Each day is a trial, isn't it?
Well, it's just a little bit, that's correct. That's correct. But I like to talk about the beginning of your birth. Just like Adam had a birth, he was created out of mud, right? So, and then Eve was cloned as the extension, but further away from God, and Adam was closer. And to this day, man, born of woman, is potentially closer to God than the woman is. And the woman has a need for a man to do what Adam did. Now, so what Adam did was, eat the fruit of the garden. You can't do that. But the point is, she has chutzpah. You know what chutzpah is in Jewish? It means noiv. Noiv. Take advantage of the man's weakness. See? And there's something in a woman that has a dual impulse. There's an impulse to take advantage of him, to want to rule him, because she's being ruled. And the spirit of Paradise Lost is in every single woman ever born. The really smart woman, which are not too many, knows this and will wait for the kind of man that will say no to her. I never forget, it was 60 Minutes, years ago. Maurice Schaefer, I think is the right word, is that correct? He was the monitor of, he had a beautiful woman. She was very famous, I forget her name, it's the principal. And I remember it, I always remember things that stick out and forget the rest. Because I put all these little tiny things together, it always comes together. And she said very clearly, she said, I'm a very, very rich woman. And I would give all the money I ever have to the man that could say no to me. I want that. I need it. And that was because she was suffering from not having a man, hating the little bastards. Excuse the expression.
Well, men think
they're either bullies to get what they want from the woman, or they are weasels, sort of giving in to the woman so he can get something from her.
Well, men think that their kindness is kindness towards a woman. And like, I'll give you an example. Last night, I was with my wife and we were trying to determine what to do. And, should we go out to dinner or should we go to a movie? And she said, let's go get some ice cream. I said, you can do whatever you want.
I'm going to the movie.
No. I said, you can do whatever you want to do is fine.
Yeah,
I was being kind. Whatever you want to do.
yeah.
So we went and had some ice cream. Making a little noise here. And I thought to myself, that for some reason was like a ball in a roulette wheel going around and around and around. Because when I said to her, You can do whatever you want. We will do whatever you want to do. And she says, really? We do whatever we want? And I said, yeah, you can do whatever you want. We can do whatever you want. Whatever you want to do, I'll do. Whatever you want to do.
Well, there's that option.
So there is. Now, and I was being kind, but she was actually perplexed by it because she wanted me to make the decision.
Yeah.
She wanted me to make the decision.
Yeah.
So we went and got some ice cream. And as I'm sitting here today, I thought to myself, she was reaching out to me to be the man and make the decision. And she was actually perplexed by the fact that I didn't mind not making the decision. Whatever you want to do.
You did the right thing, though.
Well,
Because she could decide that she wants chocolate or...
Well, no, I'm not. The point is that I believe that women are wired to
Exactly.
prefer the man to be the leader.
Exactly.
And it
Deep
actually
down
perplexes
inside.
them.
Deep down.
It perplexes them when you're not.
When I married your mother, when I first met her, I only knew 2 weeks before I married her.
And you
Okay.
just said you should be 3 or 4 years, and I'll just want you to know I waited 4 years.
No,
to
I'm
get married.
not, but remember, I'm learning from experience, so you don't have to suffer.
I learned from that. Don't you worry about it.
Let's be careful.
No, I'm not going to be careful.
Go ahead. That's all right. Go ahead.
I'm not going to be careful. You've been difficult. All right. It's okay. I'm not holding it against
Without that difficulty, you wouldn't have been who you are, right?
That's correct.
That's right.
And now she's beginning to
Now
understand.
she's taking wonderful credit for it, by the way,
Yeah.
for creating such a delightful old man.
No. Now, what it was simply this. I said, I'm going to take you, let's say I wanted to take you to the movies. And we're going to see the greatest story ever told. I don't remember what it was. She said, but I want to go over here. I said, you come with me or I'm going by myself, or you can pay. That was it.
So to this point,
I make the point.
to this
I wanted-
point, I think that men,
I
for
asked
some
you.
reason,
Yeah.
men, for some reason, even me,
Yeah.
we like to be kind. There's a kindness, okay?
Yes, firm.
But kind.
Yeah.
And sometimes that kindness turns into weakness because if
Yes,
we're not
it's-
careful
that-
of
that's
being.
very true.
And then the Eve part of women that gets perplexed by
Takes
our kindness
advantage of it.
doesn't know what to do with it or takes advantage of it.
But she hates you. She either hates you for it or she uses you.
The point that I guess I want to make to men out there is that it is our responsibility to do what God empowered us to do, which is to
Correct.
be the leader, to be the man. Not that we can't say, what would you like to do?
No, but you know
darling?"
what? You know what she needs. You know what she needs, even though she doesn't know herself.
Well, but men don't know what they need.
No, they don't.
And that's the problem is
That's the
that
problem with
we
all
as,
men.
as men
Yeah.
need to, first of all, if you don't put a name on what your job title is, how can you do the job?
Yeah, I think that's well said.
So if my job is to be the leader,
Or a
well, then
man.
I'm supposed to lead the
Yeah.
family. If my job is to be the follower, then I guess I'm supposed to be the follower. So I have positions in my life where I have to follow others because I work for them.
I would follow Reagan, and be honored.
Better not, he's in his
I'd
grave.
be honored to serve him. It's a good thing to
right.
serve another person who knows better.
Right.
Okay, so it's the same thing. Men are supposed to know better than women.
But they also have
but
to
let me finish.
acknowledge.
Let me finish. The smart woman appreciates that. As long as you really have the gentle, firm grip, but it doesn't have to come out firm, see, only at times when it's really difficult. But you have to make a stand because she may be influenced by other people. So there's forces that support that. And what I used to do is pick up all the little chickens and, turkeys who just bibble and talk with each other and support her. I get rid of them all. I pick up the phone and says, don't come to my house anymore. I want to take care of my wife. Thank you. We're not playing that game of blaming our husbands. Goodbye. Bang.
I want to make a point too, because this is important because I'm in that stage and a lot of these people are in this stage.
Yeah.
Okay? And what I realize is that the problem with most men is that they take it too far. There's a point where you can go too far where
Too far to mean and too far to be weak.
Right, well, to be the
Nice.
point, their ego gets involved, is I am the leader, and I am the king, and I'm the dictator.
That's right.
And there is a very fine balance.
There's
that
a very excellent.
we each day is the trial. Can we perfect this job
every
today?
second, every
Right.
second.
And the problem is
You
that
can't
most
fail in 1 second.
and you do, and then you can't get angry at yourself for failing because
No, you just
you have to just realize, all right, no, I have to reset, reboot, and try it again here. Happens all day, every day.
But once you get the key to it, you don't want to make any mistakes because it will go backwards. Once you know it, you know it. It's intuitive. You know it when she offers you sex. Let me just make it simple. And you know she wants a fur coat. Since I'm old-fashioned, we use fur coats. Okay, there's different things these days, and you can tell the difference when she offers herself. You can tell the difference. It's not tonight, Joseph.
Wait a minute. She's supposed to offer herself?
Well, you meaning she?
Nobody told me about this.
No. I'm
Does this
talking
actually happen, guys?
No.
Oh, sorry.
No, you don't follow. The motive is to obligate you to give her something for it. Very subtle.
It's actually not very subtle. It's only subtle when you're living in the lower region, nether regions of
It's subtle
of
when you
yourself.
don't see it. But it's subtle, nevertheless, to the average person who is, oh, goody, goody. And he gets caught in that, and he becomes codependent on her and can't say no without her getting angry because she's always got her way. And once you got her way, she's holding on to it. But she can't help but hold on to it because the dark side is already taking hold of her and the man.
I think what men need to understand, Dad, is that each man and each woman is Adam and Eve all over again.
Exactly.
Deja vu all over again.
But there's
Because-
one thing with one difference. And if you're ready for that one difference, are you? Well, you weren't born guilty. You weren't born angry, correct? But you got angry, you got caught up with the hate aspect and the temptation, too nice, mama, and bad dada, right? That's how it works. The woman wants to be nice, and the man has got to get out of the way because she loves the most. She knows how to love. She doesn't. See, the beauty of the whole experience is Adam had a choice, and God knew he would have to make that mistake because he wasn't up to the cunning of the spirit that approached Eve. And when she opened her mouth, she didn't speak. It spoke through her. Every one of you here, especially you thought you were living your own life by being nice, didn't you? You actually thought that your life was kind and you did everything good, but what you were doing is appeasing.
Yeah.
And we're getting weaker and weaker and weaker, looking for love in all the wrong places
Yes.
because you couldn't find a man that could love you.
Yes.
Couldn't find a man, and after a while you become so obliging that no man would want anything to do with you. You were so feeble, right?
Gross. Yeah. Just
You're
gross.
better now, aren't you?
Yeah. I
You're more
am.
aware. You
I
can
am
still
more-
be kind, can't you?
I can be.
But you can ask more than $10 an hour,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You
Wait a
can be
minute.
confident.
That's not fair. I enjoy paying
No,
10
I'm
bucks an
talking
hour.
about making a point.
Yes.
You can say,
it's true.
I charge this,
It's true.
and not be afraid, and know that you worship and you
I-
put a good day's work
I
in.
feel that in my soul.
That's
yes.
right. But you never had that confidence
No.
to speak up to anybody.
No, I-
Only go along and hate. Secret hate, correct?
It is secret hate.
And you could never speak to the people, but you could always put a nicer face on to hide it. And always have that anger deep down inside.
Because I
That was
couldn't.
killing you. That's
'Cause
why you
I-
had the stroke.
Because I couldn't.
Is that correct? Suppressed it,
Yeah, I did.
see?
So I had a conversation last night about this very thing. And my wife was challenging me with some things that are,
Good Lord.
you know, lofty. Well, not bad things, good things, but lofty things.
Yeah?
And I didn't have some answers. But the one thing that I knew,
Didn't have to what?
I didn't have some of the answers to some of the questions and comments that she was making. because each one of us has our own separate thoughts and our own perceptions of life. But what I did know and what I was able to convey was that I know who I am.
Yeah.
I know that I'm on a mission. I know that I have virtues and values, and I know what they are. I've put a name on them, so I know what they are: honesty, integrity,
Yeah.
decency, love, patience, kindness, strength.
Yes.
I know what those things are. If you don't know what to call your tools,
You can't
and you don't
use
know
them.
what they're for, how do you use them? So when you recognize what these tools that God gave you, calmness, just calmness and patience, that, to me, the biggest tool that I've had in life is to be able to not react. The tool of patience, to not just react, but to wait for a second until
That's right.
I have understanding. Then I can see how to deal with it, not just react like an animal. I can react with a higher nature, with a higher intelligence.
That's right.
And my reaction then is not just a reaction, it is an action, not a reaction, an action.
Correct.
Okay? And I have this confidence about myself now in this part of my life, which I'm 55, I should, but I have this knowing of who I am. And I also have the knowing of who the dark person is, the dark side.
Yes.
Because when that side of me comes to visit, I stop him at the door. Say
That's
no.
right.
There's nothing you can say or do that will change my path.
Correct.
And it just goes away because it's, why waste the time on me when it can go to a weaker vessel?
Can I stop you there
Yeah.
for a second to help everybody understand this? The phantom which spoke to Eve is invisible. The phantom, if we can use the same language, that spoke to Adam is equally invisible and ever present. Ever present. Ever present. Same with the dark side of the force that is on the doorstep. And politics understands wicked people in politics like the ones you have in power now. They understand they approach the women. Have you seen that? It's all about women and have women's rights and all the rest of it. And we had women's rights in this country for a long time. But all of a sudden they needed more. And pretty soon it becomes difficult to deal with. And all you have to have the smallest argument, you got a divorce. And then you got, free divorce. What do they call it? Free divorce.
No fault.
No fault. There is fault. Lies. Is fault. But there they're gone with the children, and the father has no children and he can't be a man. So he can't finish his fulfillment. And so he has to be super careful. Not me. That's all there is to it. Not me. Law, opportunity for the woman is tempting. No, you don't get out of this house, stay where you are. Cool off. Bang, 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 all the doors shut. Don't think I've had those things in life. Everybody does. You wake up next morning, it's all forgotten. But if you let it out and go to the lawyer, it's too bad. So you say, well, I'm going to divorce you. Well, the minute you say that in her emotional state, now we're coming back to hypnosis. The minute you're in an emotional heat, she's angry, you're angry. So you say, I'm going to divorce you, I can't put up with this anymore. Immediately, it becomes, I'm going to divorce you first, and it's too late. You don't use that word, because in an emotional state, she's in a hypnotic trance. And what you say that you're going to do to her, she's going to do it to you. See that? In rebellion. In other words, it's just doing to you what you would have done to her. I'm going to do it first.
Some people want a divorce, though. They want to escape from their hell. That's the problem.
But there was
Instead
also,
of dealing with their hell that they've created.
They haven't. I have to tell you this. This is my story. The other night, on my radio program, a gentleman called and spoke about all his problems. He said, I had this, I have that. I said, what do you mean had? I think I remember the subject. Maybe you heard it. He says, well, did you do it with my meditation? He said, no, it's my wife that did it to me. I said, what do you mean your wife did it to you? She's been listening to you all these years, and I got angry and angry and angrier, and I saw how stupid I was, and I changed. I got frustrated, and she's as calm as a cucumber. So she actually woke me up. She didn't have to say anything. She didn't have to do much. She just didn't get upset with me. And I tried to make her upset, and I couldn't. I just wore myself out. I woke up. I couldn't help but smile and laugh. She actually did it. He said, I have her to thank you. She's been listening to you. I didn't do it. She did. So you should be able to control, in a proper way, anybody, even if it was Adolf Hitler.
Dad, you wrote a book called The Secret Power of Words, of which I've never read.
Yeah, it's
I
a
didn't
very
write
good
it, you
book.
wrote it. But I got it just from the title because I realized that so many times in arguments, we are reacting to the words as if they are
Real
bombs
things.
exploding
Real things,
around
yeah.
us, and they really are just air. And so if you can learn to not react to the word and the meaning of the word and see it as just noise,
The energy behind it.
and just realize that it's either love or anger, love or hate, that's either coming out of that person.
That's right.
And look beyond the words themselves, then you can learn how to deal with no matter what kind of person yelled at me. I told this a while ago, a few weeks back, a person yelled at me, and I almost, in my mind, saw a little child yelling words that they had no business using because they were mean and hurtful words. And a lot of times people, because we look at them and we see an adult and they use these mean and hurtful words, we react to them and we actually absorb them and take them inside of our soul.
You weren't born angry. See?
Right.
And when you're very vulnerable. But the advantage of that is you're still innocent. Because you're a baby and you come into the world with intuition. And that intuition is the ability to see the craziness of everything around, especially these days. I always see people, as they get better, saying, but everywhere cruelty, everywhere dishonesty, everywhere sweetness and nice. Actors on the stage, like Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage, and people are merely actors. And we can't be actors and be respectful to God. Being actors is only trying to manipulate other people into going along with us, with our sweetness and light.
Let me finish this because I think it's important and you'll get it.
Yeah.
This person, since I couldn't see her, she was on the phone, was saying these mean and very spiteful and very wrong things to me. And she was mistaken because I wasn't guilty of something she was accusing me of.
You mentioned it to me.
What I realized while this was going on is that words are a form of disease, that if I let it pierce me,
Correct.
then I become infected with that disease called hate.
Correct.
And hate is a disease, even though medical won't say hate's a disease. If you accept hate and then you have that hate, then you are you can infect others with hate.
But also,
And that's what this world is becoming.
When you react, you start using the only thing you know is words. And to use more words than they are using more words to
And I
overcome.
didn't.
And you have to have anger with it in order
Right.
for it to be effective.
I didn't. I dealt with it in a right way.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But the question, and I guess I want to make is, the comment is that words and anger and angry words go inside of us like a disease and can kill us.
It is a disease.
Right.
And gets worse and worse and worse. And every time you treat it, you live longer, saying more words and then slowly suppressing it, being angry with your own disease and your own faults and struggling with it. And what that does, it takes the phantom that has no power.
Gives it a home.
And you give it a form. You give it the energy to cause a form to take shape inside you. And then most people are so broken and so full of that dark form. So it's made of something that you can't see. It's like my spirit within my, there's a spirit in this flesh body. And every time I do the right thing, it passes through me to the other person, and in passing it leaves something of beauty, see? That's not afraid to die, that lives forever. But in contradistinction, if you react to the other person, then you're giving it power inside yourself to take shape from what it's, the effect that it's given you. You've given up the energy of life that was given to you to that person who eats it like a cannibal. And he gives something to you that's like itself inside you. So there's two of you fighting each other, one's weaker than the other. And because you're weaker than the other, you tend to go along with him. In the end, you fight, and it's no good, you give in. And you give in, and you give in forever until that person eats you. But the person who eats you is also subject to the person who's eating him. So he's, before somebody stronger than himself, he's now the same thing. He's weak and gives up the energy he got from you. It's a long chain of command all the way back to Obama.
Let me talk about the importance.
Right up to Obama, everybody.
Dad,
Yeah.
let me talk about the importance of what I see the meditation does for people, because I've seen it since I've been around you for all my
But
life.
you understand the shaping of your interior.
This thing that we accept from childhood, from our parents being cruel to us, from bullies at school being cruel to us, we've accepted this thing inside of us, and it's made its home in there because we didn't know what to do with it.
And we think it's us.
And we think it's us, and well, it's become us.
Yes.
It literally becomes us,
So
and we
it's
don't know
really-
how.
It's really bona fide us, but it's not right us.
But what I realize about the meditation is the meditation is the release valve of that. It helps to relieve. It's almost like pushing a button, letting the air out of the tire.
A little piece at a time.
Right.
Yes, I see that. Thank you.
Yeah.
But otherwise we repress it or fight back.
Right.
See?
But otherwise, there's no way out. It has no way out.
No.
The only way out it has is to infect somebody else. But it actually doesn't get out. It stays
Do
in,
unto
and
others
it's
what
a
you done unto
disease.
them. But now, it all depends on the source. Now, I said there's a small relationship of love-hate, and then there's a big relationship called politics. It's the same thing. You set in motion problems, and then it frustrates people. The guy loses his job, for instance, and takes it out on his wife. And the wife takes it out on the kids, kind of thing. It's a chain of command that all you need is the position of power in politics and do nothing and make the, so you have the roof is leaking and you don't fix it and everybody gets upset because business starts to get slow and politics, he loses his job and then there's anger towards his wife, she's insecure, etc. So what you're doing is creating a problem wholesale, not just one person, but you're being a bully either by doing nothing and have lots of friends and giving all your money away and not give your kids food. So that makes a woman angry and frustrated. See, and then guilty and goes along, and then there's that love-hate relationship. They have to work together, but they can't work together because he is subject to the politic, the body politic. So it's a huge, huge thing where the whole country is eaten alive. Each person doing unto others that was done unto them, beginning with what you voted for. And then you vote him in again because you still, many of you still are, some of you are rebellious, but you don't know how to be, in your rebellion, you don't know how to deal with it. You're angry. So you can't do anything about it. And you got the others who've given in and going along and liking him because he's solving the problems that makes normal people worse, but makes bad people feel better.
Being angry is like
You
putting a
understand that?
blindfold on. Being angry is like putting a blindfold on because then you can't see how to get yourself out of the situation.
No,
It's like the movie The Martian. You saw it.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys should all see The Martian. It's a good movie. But the reason why is because here's a man who's left behind on Mars. They thought he was dead, so they blasted off, and he wasn't dead. And I won't tell you because I don't want to spoil it for you, but obviously he gets off, okay? He gets off the planet.
The
But he
determination.
has to deal from the moment he realizes that he's been left behind and he only has so much food and so much oxygen and so much all this. He literally goes right to work. He doesn't sit there and cry and woe is me. And he also had something stick in his side. He had to fix himself. And he's having to deal with everything with strength, without anger. And I think Matt Damon did a great job in that movie.
Absolutely.
Because that is us. As you guys and ladies realize right now that your relationship in your life, you're on Mars. And you can either complain about it every day and every week come to this talk, or for those viewers, watch it and keep going, woe is me, what am I going to do? Or you can do what it says on every Nike product, just do it. You have to start right now, saving your life, saving your family. Stop being angry, do it, deal with it. One thing at a time. One thing at a time. Get rid of that anger.
I couldn't argue with that. But you see, it's working for him because he did it. He did this. He did lots of mistakes. He started with 0. He stayed with me for a year. He got into trouble, but he got out there in this little stinking little town. You think there's no opportunity? He made it. All my kids made it. And did well. I mean, you have no idea, every one of them.
You have to find yourself on Mars. You have to hit the bottom before you can bounce up.
This was Mars for you, because there's nothing here.
No, it's true.
There's no opportunity in this town. Nothing.
Well, there is.
But there isn't.
There
But you
is, but
made
there
it
isn't,
so.
depending
You
on
made it so.
who
Well,
you...
look what you got.
Yeah.
Look what you got.
This is
You had nothing.
this is a gift from God, because I think we feel like
It's all a gift from God.
that. And I remember thinking when I had nothing, I had 2 children, and one that was born in a bedroom at his house that I had to deliver because I was late getting to my wife's side. She told me she was going to have the baby, and I thought, well, it'll take 24 hours. And I got there an hour or so later, and she was giving birth, and I delivered the baby right on the floor in my dad's house with just her and I.
I would have fainted.
No, you wouldn't. Point is that we feel like sometimes we have absolutely nothing, and you have to be okay. That was my day on Mars, was having to help my wife deliver her baby on the floor in my dad's house. And I remember thinking to myself, boy, have I stepped in it big this time. I mean, because I've done everything I could
Not that I
do.
warned him. It wasn't that I warned him. I just didn't make him do it.
No, but the point is that you have to, all of us are at that stage of our lives at some point where we screw up so bad that we finally screw up to the absolute bottom of the ocean, which is, bottom of the ocean is lower than whale crap. It's at the bottom of the ocean. That's where
Yeah,
I was.
But Alan, there's a young lady here who is really, really, how old are you now?
53.
She's 53.
I'm 55. I got her beat by 2 years.
But the point is, she has not, she's just started.
Yes.
We're all just starting. It doesn't matter what age
but
you
she
are.
actually never came to my talks, never. She stayed away from me, knowing what I can do or what comes through me to do. To
She
you.
wasn't to her bottom yet, Dad.
No,
Were you,
wasn't her-
Catherine?
That's
I
right.
wasn't. I came to the bottom.
Yeah. So now you're changing, aren't you?
Yes.
It doesn't
This
hurt
feels
to say,
different.
excuse me, is my eye hurting your elbow?
No, it
See?
doesn't.
Doesn't cost anything. Oh, I'm sorry, didn't mean. And even if you get a bad retort, meaning bad language back at you, it's okay. See, don't take it to heart. See, you're so busy, so conditioned to the spoken word.
Yes.
Now listen carefully to the scripture. See, because I can take this beginning away in little pieces as we discuss. He says to Adam, oh dear, because you have done this thing, dust thou art, and dust thou shalt.
Return.
What was it? Return to the dust, yes. And because of that, a man shall leave his mother and father and become one flesh. Now that is upside down, because it begins upside down. So women have the power over men. So now it talks about man born of woman. And anybody with any sense says, what the hell is that? How can you be born without a woman? See? How can a man be born without a woman?
It's the first allegiance.
Yes. But the point is, he's born subject to the woman who is subject to his mother. So mother is the one that creates the identities of both children. The woman in her way and a man not in his way. Feminine, rebellious. And the rebellious one is angry at women, and the one that's weak is needful for women. Both bad. Both right and no way out.
But you know what I think is cool is that God gives us about 100 years to figure this out. And He gives it about 100 years. I mean, you can live 100 years pretty easily. You're going to probably here. You're 88 almost. And it's like, it's not like He just gives you an hour or two to figure out life. He gives you 100 years. So don't get angry at how old you are, or if you're just waking up at 52 or 3. I'm thankful that I'm 55 and I'm finally starting to come to my senses.
Yeah.
You know, all I can say is that for those people out there, the first thing you don't want to do is when you're on Mars, just because I saw the movie, don't start getting angry at how old you are, how much time you have left. Put all that aside and say, all right, I got to figure out right now how to get out of this mess.
There was a thief on the cross. He started and finished dying.
Right, right.
He made it. See? But there's something that Alan has said that is just a little bit missing. And because you're not born the same way as Adam was made from the dust, mud, and the woman from the man, and everything was in a correct order and upside down as it knew it would be. But he also knew if he made a billion of them, it'd be the same thing. He'd lose. He doesn't have the skills of those things. There's got to be skills in suffering. There's no virtue without temptation now. You got to prove it. And so, no child is born sinful. Nobody, not even ISIS child. It's subject to the culture. You are, in America, you are very, very fortunate that this is not Hitler Germany, ISIS, and any place out there in the Middle East where you are forced and murdered, women traded for whatever. That's a wicked world out there. So it's taken years and years and years for America to become the place. And Israel. America helps the Israel. The two lampstands, right? There it is. So we are not born guilty. We, from the women come from women, right? So we are not born guilty. We are born from them innocent. But because your parents are guilty and caught up with each other, which is the same all over the world, except in ISIS and Islam, they got laws about women because they have learned that women are powerful, and so that machoism, if that's the word, they made sure that they made Sharia law so the women are just slaves and they can't speak back. But look what happens to them. You can't speak back, they use them, throw them away, beat them up, and they become more, and the more sex they get, the meaner they become, the more vicious, because they're getting into the woman, and the woman can't say anything. She can't run away. She has to go on giving, and he becomes more of a beast, and it happens in your own home. That's exactly what happens in in freedom you're doing that. Except they're all bullies, no wisps, weaklings, all bullies. you're dead if you're not a bully. You have Sharia law, you can have all the women you want, and you can kill them and murder them and torture them. And therefore, they become murderers. And now you look in America, if you let this love-hate thing go on, one becomes the other. An interesting story about that, it's relevant, because I remember these news stories, and most of them I forget. But the ones that stick in my mind, that's what I'm looking for. So this little woman is in the shower with her boyfriend, and she's planned it. She cuts his throat and shoots him to make sure he's dead. Yeah, you know why? Because she couldn't say no. She couldn't say no. She couldn't say no. It was pressure. She couldn't say no. He was bringing up the hell in her, hateful and guilty, because she has a good spirit. She's guilty. Well, how does she deal with anger? Well, she feels like she's guilty. Anger makes you guilty. Anger doesn't make a person guilty. It makes them hungry to make somebody else guilty, to project their problem onto them. See? So that's what happens. So in America, it happens. The woman now reverses it, and the women could do this if ISIS would be like us. But ISIS makes sure that the woman gets killed first. They can do what they like, but in this particular question, you've got freedom. But she's not free. She's weak. She has a bad home. She needs the love of a man. She finds the love of a man, but this man, it might have been a normal man, but the more she gave him, the more he wanted. But her nature isn't to give. It is beyond nature. So she uses her beyond nature. She keeps calling and calling until she becomes a whore, and then a hateful whore. And then she feels like she's dying because she can't give anymore. I can't anymore, but she's still doing it in the shower. She can't say no, but her mind starts to work. I got to get out of here. Nobody can save me. I can't go to the police. I don't understand, because I seem to be a willing subject, right? All these thoughts go in her mind, angry and angry and angrier, and her mind starts to become violent and dangerous. And she's planned it in the shower. She has a knife and cuts his throat. Makes sure he's dead, bang. And then she's not in her mind, she's in a hypnotic state. She's the innocent girl. See that? She's innocent, but she doesn't know she was innocent, but she got more and more guilty. And then but she couldn't stop being guilty. She couldn't stop serving. See, if I was there, I would have got her off.
She didn't know how to say no.
She couldn't say no.
She was a people pleaser.
But don't you understand? The German people couldn't say no either. They couldn't say no.
And once she started going along with that, then
There's a point in America where you can't say no to Obama and whoever comes after him playing the same role. And you elect him as the same role, and he's going to be worse than him. The next one's going to be worse.
I won't elect him.
No, you may not, but you'd be surprised how many people will now.
Yes.
Because they're addicted like the woman is.
Right.
You can't say no. You excuse him. That's what a person does when they're angry. They excuse the other person. Then excusing them and emboldens them. Oh, maybe I didn't love him enough, but bang, it goes again. Over and over and over again, never stopping. Ever. Until the only way she can do it is to kill him.
Or kill herself.
Or kill herself. Yeah. You see, we don't understand human nature. We are losing our country. Virtue, there's no claim to virtue without temptation. But she didn't know how to deal with that. She did not know how to say no. The first time. But the first time became the second time. And so it went. The more you give in, the more you have to. Because there's less of you. And you need more love. And the only love you know is the sex and the embrace and the warmth. And then it is worse. And you're more of a slave. And you can't say no. And you don't know where to go. See? See, now I could actually go to court and get that person off. And let it be a stage where the whole world can understand it. As you are understanding it now, aren't you? The minute you give in to any pressure and you feel the pull is always there. The minute you give in to that, you're dead. You weren't born guilty. You were born innocent. Therefore, the giving in or being the bully, playing one of the two, is inherited. And you either don't like being a bully, and you look and see that something's wrong, and you will seek it. Or you'll be a wimp and a weasel and an appeaser, and you may not like that either. And you will look for the truth that will set you free. So the nice story is, the other night, I'll repeat the story. The man calls and talks about his problem, which is very, very serious, a very angry guy. I said, well, how are you doing? He said, I'm doing fine. I said, how come you do fine? Did I help you? He says, no, my wife did this to me. What do you mean your wife did it to you? I couldn't make her angry. I couldn't get my fuel. I couldn't get my justification. That's the neatest thing I ever heard. That's the way it should be. See? No anger. No anger is innocence.
It is. When I was very young, I remember having a hatred towards men when I was very young, and it wasn't. I was probably about 5 years old, or whatever. I was young.
You almost became a fag.
Well, it could have been. I was raised by two women, my mother and my grandmother. But it was. I realized when I had a problem with my swimming instructor, and he was kind of willful, perhaps. I don't remember. But I told my mother, I said, I want to get a gun and shoot this guy.
See?
And she says, that's a terrible thought. And I remember the projection I had on him, which was my father had abandoned me. I thought all men were just, basically brutes, mean at one time. And it wasn't my anger, it was my mom's. She repressed it so much that she would not express it, but it came out through me.
Yes.
And I watched this, and I realized that it was wrong to be angry. That's all I knew at the time. But I watched also my cousin die from this. His mom was very, very willful, 10 times what my mom was. And he died of cancer.
He was an appeaser.
He basically had her anger, and his anger projected towards me one time. And the pieces of the puzzle came together. And it wasn't, he didn't live his own life because of his mother. He did what his mother wanted him to do. He wasn't happy, and he just basically fell apart.
Yeah, but he also took it out on you,
Yes.
hoping to get the energy for.
Yes.
He acts like the mother.
He found out I
intimidates
listened.
you. Yeah.
The whole family found out I listened to you. And it was like the mother would say, well, he hates women and all that. And it was, every time it came around, it was like a sore point because they had already listened to you. It already got inside him. And my cousin, he was very sad because he had such potential. He was a decent person, I think. Inside.
Isn't it a shame? People are dying like flies with medicine and arguments and losing their identities and feeding
Big thing
themselves.
with me, I wasn't happy with the way I was.
But
I
see,
knew there
how
was
many
something
people
wrong.
sitting in this room think of using a gun? Is it? You did? How many people honestly got to be so angry that you wanted to shoot somebody? How many people actually wanted to think of committing suicide? Oh, quite a few people go with it.
Yeah.
But the alternative there is to kill the other person. Nobody wants to commit suicide, but you don't know what else to do. You're going to hang. But if you go to Germany, you don't hang, you get rewarded.
Yeah. Pretty much you get,
Nazi Germany.
you get rewarded for killing.
That's right. Reward for killing.
Yeah.
And that's why we have children, young people, joining ISIS.
Yeah.
See? They want to kill, so
yeah.
this gives them permission.
They inherit their mom's anger.
That's right. So it's not, now I want to say to the ladies in this room, I don't blame you. You can't help being what you are and the son of a bitch that you give birth to. You actually take a baby and not realizing pass Eve on to the male child. See, to be subservient to the female and tend to push away the influence of the father, thinking you know more about what love is because you're a woman. And therefore you give love to your husband, therefore you should give love to your children. And there's a certain degree, there's a certain perverted logic to that. See? Now this has been a very good subject today. And I think my son, Alan, you know, he just every now and then gives a yell and says something that makes you giggle. But this wasn't giggling.
Can I talk about something
Yeah.
on this topic? I'm really glad that we're talking about this. And, you know, I've been looking at some trials I've been going through in my life. And, you know, I come here and I strive to grow spiritually, but then I have a deep sense of shame in areas where I know I'm failing. And this kind of has brought it up. I've been going through some stuff, and what I've been catching about myself is that I've been handling them instead of with grace. I've been seeing my mother's nature come up in me instead. I get revved up with her nature. My husband has recognized this and prompted me on this, and it's just so painful. I mean,
You hate men. You have a resentment towards men.
Towards men, but that's
especially
my mom's.
because he was tend to be too easy on you.
Yes, but he's getting stronger, and this hasn't been so much the
A
issue.
good strength, I hope.
Yes, and thank God, you know, really. But
See, I have a good strength to you.
You do.
And so it's not insulting.
No.
No, you can use a good strength on anybody. And who was that person I mentioned in South Africa? Mandela.
Yeah.
That is a movie you must see.
Okay.
Because in that movie he holds his ground all the way through and not yield to anything and got his way. And the moment he passed away, which was so I was in Africa in 48 or 49, I saw the danger coming. So this went on up to 1994, 95, so I was there before all of that. See? And Johannesburg, it was the tyranny of the minority. And so, what's his name again? Mandela. He actually committed some violence to stand up against the British, who mowed down a whole lot of people mercilessly. They put him in jail for 20 years, for life. They decided they wouldn't, he was so popular, they decided that instead of hanging him, they would put him in jail for life. But as things happened, he was very popular, and they got him out at 20 years because things were getting really bad. And his wife was, you know, doing all that, murdering people herself. You know, doing some terrible things, putting tires around them or putting gasoline on their head and catching them on fire, all kinds of stuff. And this is in, you know, in later time where I just bought my wife a car to 1992, so that it was around that area. But I saw that was going to happen, so I said to her, when I married her, watch out what's going to happen in Africa. When we were getting married, I walked down the street and said what was going to be the future. It all came true. Mm-hmm. That's why I came up here from Los Angeles. I see what's going to happen. I'm not going to be nuked. They are going to be nuked.
Roy, I have a correction for you. When you say the British, it was actually the Afrikaners. They were Dutch, weren't they?
No.
You
the
sure?
British were in charge. Britain was in charge. It wasn't the Afrikaners.
Oh, I thought it was the Afrikaners.
No, I
that
was
were in
there.
charge. Yeah. Oh. Well, yeah,
They lost in the Boer War.
yeah,
I was there.
yeah, I know.
Tuck it in. Okay, you're at an hour and 30 minutes.
Okay. So I just want to settle with you. I was there in 49, and the British were cruel, and it was the tyranny of the minority. But after, what's his name again? I always get it. After Mandela, I'm the one that brought his name up, didn't I? After Mandela, it became the tyranny of the majority. That's worse. Now, that same beautiful town, yes, beautiful, but not for the black people there. That same beautiful town, Johannesburg, is the murder capital of the whole world. They do not know how to govern themselves. They're too primitive, because Mandela, I assumed, was not a Bantu. Bantu is your size. Only 5'4", 5'6", very small.
Or 7.
So I can actually tell you why they live side by side. When they have one that grows up small, they throw him out. And they breed, and they can become Bantus. They become communists. They all become communists right now. But look at it, you've got the kind of freedom that the bad guys are getting today. See? And so that you still have violence. They're never going to be happy. They've got a power that is not good for them. The left has power, it isn't good. They want more and more and more and more by violence. See? So they didn't have a good purpose for revolution. There is a good purpose for revolution, and a bad one. To overthrow,
Tyranny.
overthrow tyranny, yes. That's right. And you've got tyranny now, but we're too busy drugged, alcoholic, womanized, sex, all messed up with sex. And so you got broken homes, you got kids running around, with no future, and angry at America, and easily, what they call it, changed. There's a name, there's a word they use to
Transform.
well, transform. There's another word for it that means they get reprogrammed. They get programmed. They're open to the programming of ISIS. There's a word, I can't find it.
Brainwashing?
No, it's not brainwashing. It is the word. Brainwashing it is.
Indoctrination.
Indoctrination is a better word, but they have a better word than that. But let believe it, Lord. That. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming. I do hope you enjoyed the discussion. I will just take one question if necessary, but I think we're done. Okay? Thank you very much, and enjoy. And so, ladies and gentlemen, please, did you enjoy the discussion? I actually want to say, I actually missed something out. I've got to say, I got caught up with Mandela. I just want to say that because you are not born guilty, because you were injected, you were imprinted with what your mother and father was. See that? You did not understand that. You did not know that you were programmed or mesmerized. Is mesmeric. And temptation is your parents. Or there's hardly, I don't know anybody, I've seen people change, but otherwise everywhere I go, no matter how pleasant the person is, I know they have problems with family. They don't know how to deal with. It's rife everywhere. There's no psychological cure. There's no physical cure. that doesn't exist because the whole thing is metaphysical. Metaphysical, which is not physical. It's invisible, but becomes visible. And the invisible passes through the women into the children because of the failure of the men. But the men can't help being failures because they're born to woman. Man born to woman, it cannot be helped but be a failure. With very few exceptions. You have Moses going down in a reed boat. Somehow he was it. Yeah.
You know, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just
Yeah, I
wanted to turn
want
the
to
mic.
finish off
Go
that
ahead.
point, but you go ahead.
I just wanted to say that once upon a time, a guy says to me, and he looks at me with this anger in his eyes after I had gone through some tough times in my life because people judge you. He looked at me and he said, "A leopard doesn't change his spots." He was pointing at me and I said,
Yeah, but you're not a leopard.
I said, "You're right, but I'm not a leopard."
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, when we're going
That's
through
plenty
this
good enough.
in life, you know, people tend to judge us, but you can't judge them back. And you have to realize you probably brought it on yourself. And again, if you're on Mars, you don't have a lot of time. You
Yeah,
better
but
get busy.
your point
Better
is
get
made.
busy.
Once you have discovered innocence, once you have discovered that you're not saddled with this, it's not your fault. Your only fault is that you make excuses. The only fault is you continue doing to others what was done to you. And then hopefully you hear a person like myself or a friend to bring you to reality, is that you're not guilty. The guilt is played forward through you and without your permission. But you don't know it's something or somebody else living through your life, coming through the generations. And it's always the same. The women are the same. They're either weak and go along with a man and bring the worst out of him, or strong and make a weakling out of him. But either way, the problem doesn't stop. You've got problem in your household. There's war. Your father doesn't get in the way of saving you from your mother, if you want to put it rather bluntly.
Or
See?
the other way around.
Or the other way around. The father's so brutal that the mother looks like she's innocent, but she isn't, because she's putting up with it and emboldening. It's all part. And so once you get the picture that you're not guilty, you weren't born guilty, you're just playing out a role. Wherever you are, if you're born in Afghanistan, you play out that role, but you wouldn't have a chance of getting any better. Or you're born in Hitler, Germany, or ISIS, you wouldn't have a chance, or a cannibal society. They'd eat you the minute you give a hint. You have a little brightness in your eye. You eat you. So in America, you've got the freedom to walk away from your hypocritical Christian, Jewish, Muslim parents. Walk away from them. And they'll hate you for it. Maybe they'll see better, who knows. But you need to have your freedom, and if you're angry towards your parents, you may be turn into them or be subject to them and try to help them, and all you do is give your life trying to help them, only make them worse. And they hate you for it. Or you become a weakling and not have any will of your own, but their will and other people's will. So therefore, use the meditation, go to my website, and please support this program. Share this discussion or any one of the discussions that you see fit as it fits a person, a friend. Let them sit down and say, I want to show you this, and see what happens, because each one of you is asking the question, discussing it, and making it clear, and I'm making it clearer, if you don't mind. And then you're also making it clearer to me, because you say things I haven't seen before too. So I'm picking your brain as well, and I'm adding to my repertoire. So thank you very much. Post Office Box 1000, Grants Pass, Oregon 97528, or fhu.com/donate. That's all you have to do. There's lots of pamphlets up there on the web. Pamphlets. They're very inexpensive, and you can actually read some of it. And if you like it, $5, whatever it is. It's about 24 pages on any subject. Thank you very much.